Hello, my name is David Duffy. I am a retired physician. This is the 17th presentation on healing thoughts. Today we're going to talk about prostate cancer, how that develops. The prostate gland is an organ that creates fluid which nourishes and carries the sperm during ejaculation. The prostate gland functions, the prostate gland not only makes the fluid, but has muscles that contract to deliver the fluid and bring the fluid that carries the sperm. When a person urinates, the valve to the prostate is closed. When the person ejaculates, the valve to the bladder is closed. So that's a well-organized process. There are about 150 genes that develop proteins relevant to the function of the prostate, and 20 of them are very specific. One of them is called prostatic antigen, PSA, prostatic specific antigen, and that is a marker of prostate function. In similar to women who go through menopause after the childbearing years, men will quiet down their sexual function, and there's something that happens in the prostate. It's called benign prostatic hypertrophy. The gland has a hormone called dihydrotestosterone, an enzyme that creates, it puts in two hydrogens and reduces a double bond in the testosterone ring, and has a function of binding to the prostate gland and triggering growth factors to occur. So when that is present, the prostate cells grow and enlarge. And they think that the presence of this derivative of testosterone is stimulating the prostate to grow. Also, they think that the muscles that are functioning all those years break down and are replaced with fibrotic tissue, scar tissue, and that contributes to the enlargement, and the gland is filled with fluid. In our discussion of breast cancer, we talked about how the breast after menopause can be a storage area or a collecting area for junk. And that example can apply to the prostate. It's used less and it becomes a reservoir of material. At age 40, that begins to grow. By the age of 50, half of the men will have an enlarged prostate. However, by the age of 80, 90% will have an enlarged prostate. That means that many people, whatever's causing it, is affecting most men. And we don't really understand why that happens. When does cancer occur? In order to develop cancer, some other changes take place. Normally, the body is overseeing the growth of cells. And if a cell is abnormal, that triggers the stoppage of that cell. If a person is not behaving in a restaurant, they are kicked out, you know. So the body has a way of monitoring healthy cells, and if they're not healthy, if they're deviating, if they have a genetic abnormality, they trigger this process of degrading the cell so that it dies. Okay, now in cancer, prostate cancer, that's not occurring. Let's look at what happens. In cancer, the cells are now replicating without control. There are some specific things. A normal glandular cell of the prostate makes a nutrient for the sperm called citrate, like citric acid, like in orange juice, okay? And in order to do that, it needs to import zinc as part of the enzyme to function. When you look at cancer cells, they are devoid of citrate and they're devoid of zinc. They're basically concentrating on replicating a more primitive cell rapidly and not doing the specialization of the normal prostate gland. Now, in 2018, there were 1.2 million people, men, diagnosed with cancer of the prostate. 1.2 million. And in that same year, the number of men dying from prostate cancer was 359,000. In a study of men dying from natural causes, dying from other causes, not related to cancer, they did autopsies on these men and discovered that even though they died of other causes, they had prostate cancer inside. 80% of men in their 70s had prostate cancer. Now, what happens? The gene that makes the transporter of zinc to go in and function is no longer working. That gene is called a tumor suppressor gene. when it's functioning and that is present, the cell is going to work properly. If that's missing and it doesn't have that zinc to function, the cell can turn into a cancer cell. When that happens, the body just proliferates. The cells proliferate. Now, what happens then? It starts off as a little cell in a little part of the prostate, and it's present there, and you don't feel anything. As it starts to grow, the prostate can enlarge, put pressure so the urethra, the duct carrying urine through the prostate gets pressed, and the person has pain, is unable to urinate, and feels uncomfortable. As prostate cancer advances, it can grow out of the prostate into the bloodstream and spread to the lymph nodes, and you get swollen glands. It can spread to the bones and get bone pain, and it can spread to the other areas of the body, such as the lungs or the liver. What they've also found that associated with prostate disease, cancer, there are 4 chromosomes that are losing genes. There are four chromosomal abnormalities that are associated with prostate cancer. The short arm of the chromosome 8 may have a deletion. The long arm of chromosome 10, 13, and 16. So there's something happening that's bad. And since the protection, the tumor suppressor gene is not working either, then it's ripe to turn into cancer. Now, I'm supposed to be positive. I'm supposed to say, yeah, there's hope. Well, we don't know the answers. And in modern medicine, they are equipped with all sorts of tests, all sorts of procedures, all sorts of drugs. So basically, okay, you know, most men are going to have it. We're going to check the men in their checkups. And if it happens, this is what we're going to do. We can give a medicine that suppresses the hormones to block the growth of the prostate. We can, when the prostate is enlarged, we can do an operation that goes through the urethra and trims out that extra tissue and opens the channel, like dredging the channel in the harbor. We can do a prostate biopsy and see if it's an enlarged gland or a cancerous gland. And if it's a cancerous gland, we can do radiotherapy. We can do surgery. We can give medicine to suppress the testosterone in the body and shrink it down. We have plenty of things to do if we catch it and save your life. But that bothers me. It's not something is going on a regular basis in our society and causing cancer of the prostate in so many, 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 many people, many men, okay? Why? Nobody's doing the research on that. In research, they will take a look at something and then say, well, does this drug help or not? Did this nutrient help or not? But in such a complicated situation, we have to approach it in what they call macroscopic, an overview. We have to kind of look at the whole picture and change a lot of variables rather than just guess this one, and this one. Okay? Now, so what have they learned about men that have prostate cancer? They tend to be obese. They tend to eat a lot of meat. Some portion is related to genetics and a family history of cancer. Okay. My suggestion is that we need to change our lifestyle now in a direction that benefits the body. Another factor for prostate cancer is having diabetes. Excuse me a second. Can't answer that. Okay. Diabetes is a promoting factor. Now, my hypothesis, I have two thoughts. One is that aging leads to disease because of the accumulation of biological clutter. The body accumulates waste like a junkyard. That would apply to prostate cancer. The body is accumulating stuff in the prostate and eventually turns to cancer. The second factor is that maybe the cancer is triggered on purpose. Maybe the body permits that because it's fed up with all this junk, and the cancer is a growing kind of like a bacteria. It's growing, and consuming the waste. So we can turn our body into cancer cells because by growing, it uses up the material that's in excess. And that's perfectly consistent with diabetes. Diabetes has sugar all the way around. And if you have a germ, okay, in diabetes, there's sweat, sugar in the sweat, and the skin is susceptible to infections with bacteria. If there's high sugar all around the body and the cancer cells consumes that, it can grow. If it's deprived of the sugar, is a less chance to grow. If we're in a contaminated cesspool of material in the blood and in the tissue, does that trigger genetic abnormalities to cause deletions and mutations that cause cancer? That's the question. We don't have the research. My hope is that more people will be interested in prevention of cancer and not just get screened, but actively participate. And so if you are a man who is interested in preventing cancer and preventing prostatic hypertrophy, at this point, I would have 4 suggestions. 1, if you have diabetes, control it. 2, eliminate excess protein in your diet. 3, eliminate junk food. Well, the doctors say, oh, no, that has nothing, junk food has nothing to do with cancer. Well, we don't have the research. We're assuming that, but they don't want to face that because it would be too much of a change in our diet. And 4th, be active, get exercise, get fresh air, and things like that. Next time, we're going to talk about the whole food plant-based diet as a therapeutic healing tool. We're going to go into how that is a pattern of cleansing that hopefully can improve people that are sick and prevent disease. Thank you.